get the right answer? Well, that depends on how good a guesser you are. But I do know a way that you can get it in 1 or 2 guesses every time. And I call, this is an educated guess. I like to call it a guesstimation, all right? But what it is instead of blindly guessing, guess using stuff you know. And you say, what stuff I know? Well, you know that 10 squared is 100, and 20 squared is 400, and 30 squared is 900, and 40 squared is 1,600, and 50 squared is 2,500, and 60 squared is 3,600, and 70 squared is 4,900, 80 squared is 6,400, and 90 squared is 8,100. And you say to me, no, Mr. Du, you know that. I didn't know that. But if you look at it, there's a pattern here. 1 squared is 1, and you double the zeros. 2 squared is 4, and you double the zeros. 3 squared is 9, and you double the zeros. Get the idea? 4 squared is 16, and double the zeros. 5 squared is 25, double the zeros, and so on. Okay, by the way, if you'd notice, the square root of 1 is 1, the square root of 4 is 2, the square root of 9 is 3, the square root of 16 is 4. Those are part of those 15 square roots I told you to learn by heart that you would use 90 to 95% of the time. You're actually using them here to get a more educated guess. By the way, with this in mind, now what I can do is ask which 2 of these is 4,096 in between. And again, as I go and I try to find out which ones are 4,096 in between, it turns out it's in between these 2. Because 3,600 is less than 4,096, 4,900 is more. So my answer is going to be somewhere between 60 and 70. So even if you're a horrendous guesser now, you're only going to make 9 guesses. 61, 62, 63, all the way up to 69. But if you want to make an educated guess, you can narrow it down. It's going to be 60-something, but it has to be something that ends in a 6. And whenever you multiply a 2-digit number times a 2-digit number, the last digit times the last digit is what the answer ends in. So the question becomes, what number times itself equals 6 at the end, ends in a 6. And again, if you think about your perfect squares and your times tables, your perfect squares are over here, by the way. The ones that end in a 6 are 4 and 6. So you have 2 choices, 64 or 66. And again, now, even if you're a horrendous guesser, you only got 2 guesses and one of them is going to be right. So you got a 50-50 chance of getting it. But if you want to narrow it down even a little bit more, look at which one is 4,096 closer to, 3,600 or 4,900. Well, it turns out it's only about 450 or 500 away from here, and it turns out it's 800 away from here about. So it's closer to 60 than it is to 70. So what would be the better guess? 64. And again, 64 times 64, 16 carry your 1, 24 and 1 is 25, 24 carry your 2, 36 and 2 is 38, and sure enough, we could get it in one guess, okay, if you make an educated guess. So let's do another one just to make sure you understand the process. Let's try the square root of 729, all right? Again, the first thing I have to do is find out which 2 multiples of 10 this is in between. And again, I want 729, and that would be between 20 squared and 30 squared, because 20 squared is 400, which is smaller than this, and 30 squared is 900, which is bigger than this. So my answer is going to be somewhere between 20 and 30. And I want it to end in a 9. So the question is, what numbers times themselves end in a 9? Well, let's look. 3 times 3 is 9, and 7 times 7 is 49. we're still using those perfect squares that I told you about that we learned the first day. So it's either going to be 23 or 27, because 3 times 3 is 9, and 7 times 7 is 49. Again, if I want to make a more educated guess, what is 729 closer to? Is it closer to 400 or to 900? And it's around 300 away from 400, and it's only around 200 away from 900. So it's closer to 30, which would be 27. And 27 times 27, 49 carry you 4, 14 and 4 is 18, 2 times 7 is 14, carry you 1, 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 is 5. This will be 9, 12, carry you 1, 7. Ding, 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 I got it in one guess. And again, if you use an educated guess, you'll always get your guess in 1 or 2 guesses, okay? Excuse me.